All right, Bob. Yes, it is. Bob, thank you for coming today on a Zoom call. On what is it? March, what do we have here? March 16th, 2020.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And I got excited working with Bob at Vistage and his group. And when he talks about playfulness, I love to be playful with my people. And so it just set me out, how can I bring more play into what I do?
Exactly. Exactly. So if you want the short story on that, Chris, I was a Vistage member when I owned and ran my manufacturing companies for 6.5 years. And my belief around leadership was you have to be stoic, have all the answers, never let them see you sweat. You know, you don't need to make requests with manners. You don't need to admit your mistakes. You don't have to ask for help. Never share feelings. And whatever you do, don't be silly or playful, because people won't take you seriously. And it took some coaching from both my Vistage chair and my fellow group members, and hearing a few different speakers about, hey, bring your true authentic self into the workplace.
Yeah. So I remember you saying that the person that walked in your office and said something like, "You're a super playful guy, Bob."
Yes.
Your office like a morgue? Was that what you said that time?
Yeah. It was my Vistage chair lovingly, confrontationally giving me some feedback. Says, "Hey, Bob, you got a nice business here. It's profitable." He says, "When I walk in here month after month for our one-to-one meetings, it seems like I'm walking into a morgue. I'm looking for the freezers for dead bodies to be pulled out." And he says, "Bob, I know you'd have a personality and a sense of humor in our group meetings and our one-to-ones, and when I socialize with you from time to time, I don't sense that any of that is here." To go, "No, you're right." And I told him all my beliefs around people won't take you seriously and a leader's got to look stoic, et cetera, et cetera.
And what did that change when you added that, or how did you bring the playfulness into your workplace, and what did that change for your workplace?
Well, one of the first things I did, Chris, was bring in one of my talented managers and promoted her to a senior level position called values leader. And her role was to bring the vision I had for our internal working environment to life. And the vision I had for our internal working environment was to create an atmosphere that was so enjoyable, so fulfilling, so inspiring, that all of my team members, our employees were called team members, all of our team members would dread the weekends. That was the vision. 3 to 5 years out, it was kind of crazy.
But I love that vision.
Yeah, dread the weekend. So yeah. I said, okay, maybe when I announced that to the staff, they all laughed. They thought, okay, Bob's rollerblading without a helmet once again, hit his head. The point was, I said, okay, you may never dread the weekends. Here's my hope, though. Come Sunday night, you really look forward to coming into work Monday morning.
Yeah.
So then I got with my values leader and said, okay, we have to create this. And she says, okay, if you're serious about this, you got to give me pretty much carte blanche, and you've got to have me basically be your leader in this regard. I go, wow, what the heck is that? So a few quick stories. Shortly after she was appointed, she came into my office and she said, "Bob, Easter's coming up." And I said, "Thank you for that. I've got a calendar, but I appreciate you reminding me."
That sounds like you. That's
exactly right. My sarcasm, right? Yeah. And she said, I've rented a full-blown bunny suit. I go, "Oh, that'll be great. That'll enhance our culture. Dread the weekends. Perfect. Who's going to wear the suit?"
Yeah.
She just looked at me deadpan. She goes, "Big guy, it's you." Go, no, you don't understand. I'm the CEO. I'm the owner. I've got an image. She goes, "That's the problem. You have an image, and it's not necessarily a good one."
I like this person already.
I know, believe me. I didn't in the moment, but a few weeks later, I'm dressed in a full-blown bunny suit, sweating my brains out, passing around Easter eggs. Okay, flash forward to that year. Our holiday party's coming up. She comes in, "Bob, I've rented a reindeer outfit." I go, no, don't tell me. "Yes, sir. It's your size." And so I'm wearing a reindeer outfit at the holiday party. Yeah. Flash forward another few months into the next year. She says, "Bob, the guys in the shop, primarily Spanish speaking, the workers do not relate to you. I know you walk out there every now and then and you throw a couple of your so-called Spanish phrases there, but that ain't enough. Yeah. They need you to relate." I said, "Well, what do you have in mind this time?" And she says, "Well, I've got a full-blown blue work jumpsuit with your name embroidered, Bob, on it." "Oh, no." I said, "Don't tell me." "And I've scheduled some shifts out in the shop." And boy, I tell you, Chris, I was out there and those guys had me doing the most hernia-producing work they could possibly find. And again, I related. She also had a chef's outfit. I was, barbecuing hot dogs and hamburgers at our get-togethers around the office. So basically, she was having me bring my human, fun, natural side, a little bit accelerated, a little way outside my comfort zone, and then it got to be comfortable.
Yeah. So what made you say yes to her each time? Because I can see myself also resisting bunny suits and reindeer suits. I would have definitely resisted those.
Well, the deal was I was in Vistage at the time. Vistage is about growth and development, and growth and development means transformation. And to me, transformation starts personally from your mindset and your internal makeup, who you're being and who you need to be and want to be. So I figured, okay, I need to keep this growth mindset. And I also have a vision around an atmosphere to dread the weekends. I've got to model fun, inspiring work habits. So I just made up my mind that that's what I was going to do. And then from there on, I brought my silliness, my sense of humor. We went from casual dress last Friday of the month to every Friday till I finally said, hey, unless we've got an airline or a construction customer coming in to see us, which is rare, to our Costa Mesa facility or our Northeast England facility, it's casual day every day. Be appropriate, but it's casual dress. Yeah. So that loosened things up, and I was able to get around. Here's another quick story. Again, once my staff knew that I had a sense of humor, my IT manager came in one morning early, and he programmed my computer to any key I hit, it would produce a fart sound. Big old fart sound on my internal, and he turned the volume up on my computer speakers. So burp, so boom, he's doing it. I'm a little irritated. Then I started laughing at it, and I just acknowledged him for it. So later that afternoon, I'm feeling playful. I get on the intercom, both in the office and the shop for my phone, and I'm hitting the fart sound. So the fart sound's going through the entire facility. We had some 35,000 square feet. It's going everywhere. One of my salespeople comes into my office. She goes, Bob, what are you doing? We have customers in here. I go, that's great. The customers don't like the fact that the CEO has a sense of humor. They can take their business elsewhere. Another thing that we did is we formed an internal rock and roll band within the company. Yeah. And we had all of our band equipment set up in the shop. And a couple of my vice presidents, after a while, said, hey, Bob, we bring customers through the shop, demonstrations and everything. We don't think it's professional if they see all that rock and roll band equipment.
Yeah.
I go, you know what? That band equipment stays. We are not covering it up. Again, if our customers have a problem with us having a personality and having some fun and playing music on the premises, again, we've got enough customers, they can take their business elsewhere. And Chris, to a person, when they'd walk through the shop, they'd see all that band equipment set up, they go, that's unbelievable. That is so cool. So, I just started trusting my gut that says people are human beings and they like to have fun and be silly from time to time.
People are human beings and like to have fun. I mean, so what did it do to your productivity?
Actually, productivity went up, morale went up, retention of staff went up. We were able to attract better people. And with all that going up, our profits and our revenue also went up. So, and everyone had more fun. And because they were more empowered, I was able to step back from the tactical, transactional supervision of the business and work strategically as a leader on the business, as most of my managers were as well.
That's awesome. I so appreciate that story because, I want to bring fun and playfulness to as many companies as I can and people as I can. People would watch me playing basketball as a kid and they go, is that guy having any fun? And I was, but I was really serious about it. And I wanted to win every game I could play. Now it's bringing a little bit more playfulness to it. I still want to win, but right. I do it in a much more playful way. As you can hear all this background noise, I am in Arizona with my parents over here, watching out for them. And there's an airplane, actually looks like 3 jets going over. and some
So Chris, so things are going well for you. You're living with your parents again. Congratulations.
Thank you. I knew that would come out. You look at this coronavirus thing, and for me, I had really one big fear, and that was that they would get it. And I'm actually sequestered myself out in the casita just in case, I was a carrier that didn't have it because I came from San Diego where a few
Got it.
had it.
Now, Chris, let's be honest. Did you self-sequester, or did your parents ask you not to be around them? Let's be real honest here.
The nice thing is I had parents that love me. They wanted me inside now. Just come on inside. They would have had no worries about it. But
so these days you're going with the story that your parents love you. Love it. Delusion's a wonderful place.
It is. And you remind me of my dad there. As a kid, I think the first time he said it was probably I was a teenager. He said, "Chris, there is no limit to self-deception."
And you know what, I got to tell you, Disneyland is working on plans right now to open up Delusion Land. It's going to be one of the big events coming up, and I think it's going to be a very popular attraction.
Well, one of the things I say is this, is if you're going to be delusional, which we all are, at least be positively delusional.
There you go. Love it.
So I love that. I want to touch on a couple other things while I have you for a few minutes here. So I got to meet Bob at a Vistage meeting, which he runs and works with various CEOs and key executives. And everyone I talked to, right on the hat there, everyone I talked to before I went there said, Bob is phenomenal. Bob trains the other Vistage chairs. You're going to love Bob. The others said, though, you better be on your toes around Bob because he knows his stuff and you better be prepared to go deep. So in the meeting, I have to say, the experience in the meeting with you is one of the most fun experiences I had because I love to learn and I love to have fun. You shared some things and insights in the meeting that I loved hearing. What is your key to working so well with other CEOs and executives and bringing out the best in them?
Well, that's a great question, Chris. That's probably why you asked it. I have a no-nonsense approach to the people that I choose to work with and that I select to be in my Vistage groups. And it's really around their willingness to take on personal transformation, which is a couple of big, heavy words. And all that means to me, Chris, is somebody who's interested in being a new and improved version of themselves on a regular basis. So I want them reinventing who they are. So the goal I have for each one of my Vistage members is every 3 to 6 months, they be a new and improved version of themselves from version 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, et cetera, which means I identify patterns of behavior that no longer were serving them, and now they're at choice as to whether to take and continue those patterns. They identify ways they're being or internal mindsets and see if those are helping or hurting. And they also determine foundational life beliefs that were formed in childhood, adolescence, and upbringing, and determine whether those life beliefs are helping or becoming what we call self-limiting. So if they're open to that transformation, then we can start working on virtually every aspect of their business, their position, their career, their life, and their relationships.
So even before they come into, or you bring them into a meeting with you, you want to know that they're open to that.
Yeah, and here's how I interview somebody, Chris, in that early on in the first phone call, usually my people that come to me for membership are referred by other members and chairs who know the work I do, but shortly into the phone conversation, I tell them, the member candidate says, okay, member candidate, before we get into too much about you and your company, or I tell you about me and Vistage, I've got to give you my 60 to 75 second scare away speech, scare away speech. And I call it that. I go, yeah, it goes like this. So member candidate, I hope you're up for a really big game for both your business and your life. I hope you're up for playing not only in the deep end of the pool, but the deep end of the ocean. What that means is when you are having coaching conversations with me or processing topics of importance with the group, you're going to be asked what you're thinking and feeling. We're going to delve into every aspect of your business and your life, including childhood and upbringing. It's going to feel a lot like group therapy, although none of us are therapists. So throughout your membership experience, you're going to feel significant chunks of discomfort and anxiety because that's where personal growth and insights come from. If you're not up for that game, would you please tell me now? And
Yeah.
invariably, over 20 some years of saying that speech and versions of it, I've only had one person say, I'm going to have to think about it. And I said, hey, please do, because I don't want to continue this phone call, waste your time or mine. Everybody else virtually says, hey, I have no one else playing that game with me. I'm not exactly sure what that is. I'm a little excited and a little scared, but I'm up for it. So I set a very super platinum bar for them to see if they can jump up to or over.
Well, I love that. And I think what you gave them is a gift of this too. When they agree to that, it's like when us as human beings agree to something, now it's much easier for someone else to hold us to that.
It's setting the expectations early in the relationship, which is something I learned through my Vistage membership.
Yeah. Thank you for that. I think that's awesome. As a professional facilitator and speaker, which you are as well, what would you say is the keys to connecting with groups? I mean, this is kind of, I watch you. I loved what you did. You've connected with groups all along the way. People at Vistage say you're the trainer's trainer. They love you. So what is that key to connecting with groups?
Yeah, so none of this will come to a surprise, I don't think, to anybody. It's some of the basics. Be your real, genuine, authentic self. Bring your personality. Admit when you don't know something. Ask for help. Show your vulnerability, your weaknesses, your mistakes. Give good, solid eye contact when you're addressing an audience. I was told, 3 to 4 seconds of eye contact or until you complete a sentence, which makes them feel connected. Ask them questions. Make it very, very interactive so they're involved throughout whatever the talk is about. And I would say use their first name as often as you possibly can. It's one of the most important things to us, our first name. And so eye contact, use their name, ask questions, be interested in them, paraphrase what you're hearing, listen intently, make it interactive, and have fun while you're teaching. I believe some of the best teachers I had in school, Chris, were the ones that imparted knowledge, but also threw in some humor or an anecdote or a story to keep the interest level up. So that's my style.
No, I love it. And Bob, you do keep it fun. I mean, I watch people play, you play with them and they played with you and you could tell that the glint in their eye and laughing. And I want to hear this one, because how do you help them, if you disagree with them? And I heard you, it was very subtly done. When you disagree with someone, how do you get them to look at it slightly different? Or what do you do in those situations?
Yeah, what I have found being on this planet for as long as I have is sometimes people don't agree. They don't see, yeah, it's crazy. Sometimes they don't see things exactly the way I do. So what I've realized is the first thing to do when you're hearing an opposing view is validate your understanding. We have an acronym that we use in my Vistage groups called LUV. Listen, understand, and validate. So listen intently to what their point of view is, even if it's diametrically opposed to yours. If you're not clear on what they've said, ask some questions to get understanding, and then validate or paraphrase back what you heard. Or just let them know that you understand where they're coming from. You get it. Not that you necessarily agree with it, just that you get it. That takes away a lot of the energy, and then they're more receptive and open to you expressing your point of view. We also try very diligently to not use the offensive words when there's some conflicted or confrontive conversations. Those offensive words are you, your, why, always, never, should, but. You and your, when you're approaching somebody in a difficult situation, you're late, your report's misinformation. It's really attacking the fragile ego. Asking somebody why requires them to produce reasons, stories, excuses, puts them on the defensive. Always and never, the absolutes are not accurate. And then should, telling someone what they should do, tell my members regularly, don't should on people. You don't want to be should on, I don't want to be should on, nobody wants to be should on. When you should on somebody, you're acting like the parent, treating them like a child, not very productive for relationships. And the but and however. Hey, I like what you're doing, but, or I agree with you, however. The but and however negates. So to the extent we can avoid those words and use clean language, also creates relationship and connection.
Yeah, that's incredible. Bob, when you're doing that, how long did it take to get that all into you? Was it because you talked about the transformation you made at work. How did long, are you still working on some of those?
Yes. This is never done.
Right.
Talk to my wife, kids, my rock and roll bandmates, talk to my members, my colleagues, my other Vistage chairs, family, friends. This is never done. So the beauty is when you constantly coach it and teach it, that's the best way to learn something, right? So I'm continually reinforcing it. That's the other cool fringe benefit of coaching, high performing human beings. In essence, I'm coaching myself regularly.
Yeah, and I love, just want to touch back on what you said earlier. As a kid, I hated to be wrong. I just hated it. And then that went into my 20s and even 30s. I just hated it.
But you're so good at it, though, Chris. This is the thing. You know what? I think it's one of your strengths. So don't deny your strengths.
Now you're right, and I would have appreciated your coaching early on, though I wouldn't have listened to it at that time.
So you would have been wrong again, not listening to the coaching. It's a consistent pattern, Chris.
It is a consistent pattern, and I get that. All these times carrying this need to be right thing was just freaking miserable. When I let it go, finally, it was like letting go a 100-pound backpack that I was carrying around.
Yeah, so you touched on, there's 4 fatal fears that humans typically get confronted with. Fear of failure or a need for success, fear of rejection or a need for acceptance, fear of emotional discomfort or a need for emotional comfort, and your last one, fear of being wrong, and the cousin of that is a need to be right.
Yeah.
So failure, rejection, emotional discomfort, being wrong. Those are the biggies.
Yeah.
And the beauty is those fears never really go away, but if you can be conscious to say yours, fear of being wrong, when you're in situations, you're at choice because you're conscious of that fear. And the fear is either going to hold you hostage in the moment, or you're going to choose courage and push through the fear and do and say what you need to do and say.
You said something big there that I love for...
Chris, I've been saying big things since we started. What do you mean something big there? What the heck is this interview all about?
You're totally right.
You'll be hearing from my attorney because I believe that was slander. Okay, maybe I'm overreacting.
I don't think you're overreacting at all. Have your attorney contact mine and we'll go through it. The big thing for a lot of big things for me, actually.
Good.
So I appreciate it. But
nice correction.
Thank you. The big thing I wanted to get at here that I heard is that I think one of the stepping stones is self-awareness, that we can look at ourselves, that we can actually make a change. Because how many people actually think, this is who I am, Bob? What are you trying to tell me this stuff? This is who I am. You're not going to make me any different.
Chris, what I realized what the Vistage model is all about on that very same point is in our conversations with our members one-on-one or in a group setting, at the end of a conversation, inevitably every time, the member has greater awareness on what the real issue or opportunity is, their role in it, how they're showing up, what belief or mindset they're bringing to it. So it starts with awareness, and then to your point, with awareness comes choice, different choices because of a new awareness. So awareness, choice, or choices, and then with those choices, you have to make a decision. That's the next level of value. And then with that decision, you take better actions and get better results. So it's awareness, choices, decisions, actions, and results. But it starts, to your point, with awareness, and self-awareness is probably the greatest gift someone can give themselves.
Yeah, so that I hear that, and that's something I work to get people to. So in all your experience in working with all these different Vistage teams and other teams, how do you help someone get greater self-awareness?
Well, they submit themselves to a coaching or peer group environment where they're open to, and they basically sign up for getting regular, continuous, what we call carefrontational feedback, confronting with care, dignity, and respect. So if you're open to getting that feedback and being asked pointed questions, you will gain awareness. But remember, they say the truth will set you free, but first it'll irritate the heck out of you. That awareness can be very, very painful at first.
Is that a Bob original? The truth will set you free, but first it'll irritate the heck out of you. Is that
Well,
right?
I've cleaned it up. There's other versions of that. Yes, I've
Right.
cleaned it up for this podcast or webinar or webcast or whatever you're calling this technology thing. By the way, I think this whole internet, this whole technology thing, I think it's a big fad. I know it's been around 30, 40 years, but I think it's going away. That's my prediction.
Yeah, I think it's pretty much it's
It's gone. It's had its day in the sun.
We're gonna get back to dial-up phones and
landlines. Those modems. I love that. I love the 45 to 60 second delay before you could connect.
Right, and then do you remember when they sent you a cover sheet that had nothing on it but had just a dark top that would take 20 minutes just to print?
Exactly.
So yeah, I so appreciate you taking your time, Bob, and thank you for this. And
my pleasure.
You shared a ton of wisdom in this. Maybe last thing, how do you get, I know when you in the Vistage groups you do that, when you see someone that isn't bringing their self-awareness to that, how do you raise that up just a little?
Yeah, so we have a confrontational conversation model. It goes like this. Hey, Chris, are you open for an observation? Or are you open for some feedback? That's first question. We're going to get permission.
Let me ask, who says, no, I'm closed off?
Well, that's the funny thing. 98 times out of 100 people say, well, yeah, no, I'm not open for an observation. They don't even know what it is. So, but it's being polite and asking for permission. Are you open for an observation or are you open for some feedback? At times, I've noticed a pattern of coming late to meetings, not being prepared, not double checking reports, missing sales goals, not being responsive in communication. Fill in the blank. At times I've noticed a pattern of fill in the blank, or whatever the behavior result is. And it seems to be causing some impact in terms of hours, lost productivity, emotions. People are getting frustrated and irritated. Relationships are being strained and at risk with customers, suppliers, maybe fellow employees. And there's some hard dollars involved here. And then fill in the blank as to what the dollar amount. So we call that herd impact, H-E-R-D. So at times I've noticed a pattern of fill in the behavior result, and it seems to be causing this particular result in terms of hours, emotions, relationships, dollars. And I'm just wondering what that's all about. So that's kind of it. And then we give them their opportunity to say whatever they need to. Step number 4 is listening, understanding, and validating whatever they said. Get it, I understand. And then step 5 is, what do you think can be done about this? Coming late to meetings, mistakes on reports, not being responsive. So we're empowering them. So that's our 5-step, what we call confrontational conversation model.
I really like that. I like the confrontational, what you said earlier, to care and also confront and show what people are doing in a way that maybe they can.
Did somebody fall, or is the roof or gutters falling? Are your parents?
People are attacking us.
Yes. Okay. Good. The fact that you're keeping the interview going says once again that you're wrong. But okay, please continue.
It totally does. And I love your love model. Listen, understand, and validate. And I guess for me, I've had people not agree with me, but they totally understood me, and I still appreciated that.
Chris, I'm sorry to interrupt. The way I describe that is if you give someone your full listening, understanding, and validation, it's like giving them a hot fudge sundae. Watch this analogy.
Yeah, I love where you're going already.
It gives them the ice cream, the fudge, the whipped cream, and nuts. The cherry, called your agreement, you may not give them, but if they've got the ice cream, fudge, whipped cream, and nuts, their tummy's pretty full. They're satisfied. Yeah. They feel fulfilled. They would love to be agreed with, but it's not absolutely necessary.
I'm going to totally steal that one from you, Mom.
That's
that one is awesome.
As long as you send me a nickel every time you use it, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, we'll do that. I want to thank you so much for taking your time for this, and I so appreciate you and what you do.
My pleasure. And the $10,000 an hour invoice, who do I send that to? Do you have? Oh, I'll send it to you because you told me you have a brand new electric shredder and you want to see how that works.
Absolutely. And I'm glad we kept this just to a half hour because I can't afford the full hour.
Chris, you take care, my friend. Thank you for the opportunity to talk to you once again.
Thank you so much, Bob.
Thank you. Bye-bye now.